Good morning.
Good morning, darling.
How are you?
I'm all right now that we found the SD card.
Crisis averted.
Oh my God.
Narrowly.
Thought we'd set up to record last night. We were always like, yeah, we set up already. And then it's about an hour of scrambling around.
It was an hour and a half. Oh, I snoozed the alarm for half an hour.
Yeah.
But we were tired.
Lucky I put my alarm on in another room.
Yeah, I was like, your alarm's
That's
going
a
off.
good hack.
I've been in charge of the alarm. I forgot. That was a good hack. But you had a few nightmares in the night.
Just a casual dreaming of blood pouring out of my eyes.
Wonderful.
As you do.
And then
help, trying to call out help to you while my mouth was paralysed. Lovely.
I woke you up though.
Yeah.
I don't remember doing that. I remember you telling me off for snoring.
Tell off is...
Not tell off.
It's hard-
I don't mean... Sorry, I don't mean it in
Go
a...
on your side.
Okay. Sorry.
I just know it's not going to make... It's going to make 30 seconds of disruption to your sleep and potentially
it never disrupts
hours.
me. I fall straight back to sleep. You know what the problem was though?
What?
I did have some beer.
You did?
Phew. I was going to say I didn't have a drink last night, which means it's a slippery slope
Oh,
now to
no.
middle-aged mandom.
No, you still did.
Manhood.
Mandom. You did still have a little glass of beer.
Which made me immediately fall asleep on my tummy across the sofa, where my tummy wasn't on the sofa for most of it. I was diagonal.
You like to live dangerously even when you're napping.
Yeah, I just fell asleep.
So
Sorry.
we're going to talk about a bit more of I Kissed a Boy.
Yes, please.
We're loving it. So episodes 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also been listening to some MAFS podcasts. Now that we're not doing our own MAFS podcast, I mean we are, but now the MAFS is over,
yeah,
I have the space in my brain to listen to some other MAFS podcasts.
Yeah, present me the gossip. We can't possibly take anything in for the first week after MAFS, but I've looked at a bit of TikTok, so I may be able to present some information to you back and also touch on Virgin Island.
Yeah, don't say touch on.
I realised as it came out. Oh. Too many
I haven't
layers.
seen that yet.
I saw
as far as we know.
I did see a girl on TikTok saying, I'm sorry that I've seen things on TikTok now. It's the post-MAFS thing that I've somehow managed to let it seep in slightly.
Ooh.
But someone said,
Have you been actually watching it?
A tiny bit. But not a lot, just a tiny bit when I was like, I need to find some MAFS gossip.
Ooh. We'll talk about this later.
Oh, darling, don't make me feel bad.
No, it's fine. But that is the slippery slope, not the snoring.
Okay.
Anyway, I want to know the gossip though, so tell me.
It wasn't really anything. She just kind of said, we need to cancel this show. All of these
Virgin Island.
middle-aged creeps getting on with these young people to make them lose their virginity. It's weird.
Well, let's just quickly talk about it then.
Well, I mean, we said that last time, didn't we? That we're more creeped out by the experts than the participants.
So in episode 2, I can't
believe we hadn't spoken about episode 2 when we did the episode.
I can't remember his name, the one that was sort of the star of the episode because he had...
Touch phobic.
Yeah, he had...
Everyone will know.
A very low moment and then a very high moment.
He's from Birmingham.
Yeah. Mm. And yeah, he didn't want to hug them when he turned up.
Yeah.
And then... what was the challenge that they were doing? They just had to go off and have a picnic together.
Or massage each other? Was that... They wouldn't have massaged each other just randomly. Yes. That would be too weird. But the weird thing about that is that they were left to their own devices and obviously something bad happened and they shouldn't have been left to their own devices.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah. So he was left with the ginger girl that is the object of affection of a couple of the boys.
Yeah.
She's very... very straight talking, as we're soon to discover.
Yeah.
And she's giving him a massage and she says, what are these horrible stretch marks? What are these disgusting stretch marks?
He was like, it was
my
the worst thing you could possibly say.
I can't believe this was allowed to happen.
I can't believe it either.
That would really scar you forever.
Pun intended.
But as a stretch mark person,
stretch marky,
I've been stretch marked since I was literally about 9, and they just came out of nowhere. I didn't I grew very quickly, but what?
Well, it's just funny because of what we discussed last night. I don't know if that's allowed.
I mean, I'd be very intrigued to hear if anyone experiences Alice in Wonderland syndrome.
Did you used to have it when you were a kid in particular? And when you've looked it up, you said
the closest thing I can find. So I used to have this strange psychological thing when I was a child, where all of a sudden everything would sound extremely fast, like for maybe like 5 minutes, and I would just have to, and it was a horrible feeling, and I would just have to wait it out for it to finish. And
we were talking about it last night, trying to find the root of it, and we were saying, was it when you were growing really quickly, really tall?
Yeah. Oh, everything's really big. Because it would be like, I'd turn the page in a book and it would be like the noise of it. It would be like, and everything was like, oh, really heightened.
That is such a Sam and Daisy Flynn thing. You two are so like,
it was horrible. And it would start and I'd be like, oh no. And then I'd be like, just don't look at anything or listen to anything. But then that would make it worse.
And it'd be like,
and yeah, I'd be like walking down the stairs. It'd be like, maybe it was just my...
Sorry for laughing because it was quite traumatizing.
In a big fat gay coming out, making up a tea, tinka 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 tinka. But it was horrible.
But in the Alice in Wonderland syndrome that you found online,
that is more. So that is sometimes auditory, but it was mainly to do with size, things looking really really big. But I literally didn't tell anyone about this for years and years, and then didn't even really tell myself about it, and then eventually Googled it, and that's the closest thing I could find. So that, yeah, maybe that is when I got my stretch marks, when I was going...
When you were going... Ooh.
So I was deeply upset for this guy on Virgin Island.
It was awful because no one's obviously looked at his body before. And the first time someone looks at his body, they say, that!
Horrible.
Why would you want to do it again?
Yeah. But they quickly saw to it that he had another experience.
Oh, that was after, was it?
That was after. They were like, oh, we need to sort him out.
Give him a
Mrs.
erection.
Tits coming in.
You can touch them if you like.
I mean, it's just wrong. He looked extremely blissed out. His eyes were like rolling, and he was all like, "Whoa!" He was kind of saying he was having a lovely time, but it just felt wrong going from that to that. Oh no, he's been insulted. Let's bring out 50-year-old Mrs. Tits to gyrate on him.
But is it wrong that? Like I guess the whole point is that they're so caught up in being virgins that like it's really hard to get over that first hump, that first hurdle. And is this just a way of getting them through that?
Maybe. I don't know. But it doesn't make me feel calm and peaceful watching it.
No.
But I can't stop watching it.
Yeah, me neither.
I Kissed
it
a Boy.
Did make me sad. Yeah, I Kissed a Boy.
Should we cleanse our minds with I Kissed a Boy?
Yeah, lovely
a bit more
stuff.
bit more bitchy coming out there this week.
Yeah, I like
more drama.
it. More drama, more partner swapping, bitchy. Ella pointed out that Jordan B is the new Fiorenza from series 1 of I Kissed a Girl, because Fiorenza was swapping couples, like swapping partners like there was no tomorrow, and Jordan B is doing that big time.
Had a thought today about Ruben, because you know how we were like
Goldsmiths
slightly dragging Ruben, and which we'll get to. Mary Shelley was queer, but
but I've come as Frankenstein's monster because Mary Shelley was queer. that made us
was
piss ourselves.
Perfect.
I loved
that was
it.
Clem Fandango all over. Now that really has aged me, but anyway. But I was thinking how like when what the hell is her name? How times change. The enduring star of last Amy. When in the first episode or two we thought the same about her.
So true.
And we were like, oh my god, she's kind of posh, trying not to be posh. Like,
yeah.
Very like literature student.
Yeah. I think.
And then we obviously were completely obsessed. As was the nation.
Yeah, amazing.
So I do think Ruben is because Amy was like goofy and couldn't find partner for ages, so that always wins your heart, whereas Ruben is very aware of thank you, I do have wonderful eyes, but I do think
so do you. No, they don't in comparison to you, Ruben, do they? We know this, but good on you for trying.
But I think I'm just like, I wonder if we'll end up feeling, I wonder if there'll be a similar trajectory.
I like that theory.
Yeah.
I
love them all, really.
I love them all. Really? Yeah, no, I'm struggling. Maybe I'm feeling protective of Lars. My worry is that like Ruben is, he's quite a I mean, we're assuming, we don't really know, but like quite a posh guy. And I'm worried that he's maybe is he like just saying, Lars seems interesting because he's trans? And is that like an exciting thing for him to experiment with? Is it like the same thing as like, I mean, it might not be at all. And I feel bad for minimizing it to this, but I guess it's just a comparison to in lesbian culture where like a straight girl will be like trying you out to see if you're like, if that works for them, you know?
Yeah,
I'm just intrigued.
It feels slightly different from when Lars was with Jacqui, but there's also, I think, more chemistry between Ruben and Lars, more sexual chemistry.
Yeah, perhaps. Lars is like, he's got a lot of horniness.
Yes,
about him, I think, which is cool.
I was just thinking about that series of Are You the One, or Perfect Match, I think it's called.
Yeah,
that was on years ago, and it was all like queer people and like lots of like gender non-conforming people, and there was a trans man on it who everyone was just completely obsessed with.
Yes,
like the boys, the girls, the in-betweens, they were all going for him because he was exuding, I think, the testosterone as well as a bit of a magic potion sometimes.
That's the thing that I've heard of. I mean, I don't want to make assumptions, I just feel like I've seen people saying this where a lot of people who start taking testosterone then really fancy other men. Yeah. And I was like, that's so cool and interesting.
Yeah.
I love that. Also, on that phenomenon, which we've spoken about a lot, the kind of the element of a sexy testosterone butch person, whether it's a trans man or a butch lesbian, not to put them in the same category, but just like for the purposes of what I'm about to say. The amount of, reality TV stars going lesbo.
Oh my God.
And going with like really just like androgynous people.
Yeah.
Like Gabby and Robbie Hoffman and Gabby, what's her face?
Windy
Pops.
That was made for her to have a podcast called Long Winded though. Perfect.
I never even realised.
That's why.
Windy
with an E in it.
I never even realised. The long and windy road.
Like Adam Buxton talking about his windy pops.
That's what I was thinking of. We're talking about a lot of farts this morning. We farted to each other.
as our morning hellos.
Yeah, my bum went and then you went. Sorry, Spinny. Spinny didn't like that.
He doesn't like those noises. He's pissed off today, isn't he?
Spinny is still looking after Daisy because I'm sorry to out you, but Daisy's got another sty. A third in a row, maybe fourth. And are you trying not to bring it up? You can't see it.
Sort of.
You can't see it.
It's not my number one favourite subject to talk about on the podcast that we're filming.
Sorry. Anyway, so Daisy's got another one. And don't worry. You've gone to the doctors about it. And Spinny is really protective of you at the moment. He's really looking after you. And we called him Nana, like in Peter Pan. The dog nanny. Anyway, and I went to go and give you a kiss and lean over him. And he was like, what?
Yeah. So we decided he had the personality of a Cockney 1950s nurse called Sylvie.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's during the war, actually.
Yeah, wartime.
Yeah.
It's steady on. She needs her bandage done tight. She hasn't had her medicines. I would enjoy it if you step back, please.
I would enjoy it. You're going to have me to answer to.
Yeah. So that's the energy he's been bringing today. So now he's like, oh, God, I've got to do some more healing while she's doing this idiotic podcast.
He is such a reiki dog.
Yeah.
Love him. Maybe if I had my own solo podcast, it would be called Grant Me 3 Wishes.
I like it.
Thank you. And then I have everyone come in and bring... It's quite good. No one take that.
Ooh.
That's copyrighted, Daisy Grant. What the year is it? 2025. Like, that's actually really good. Everyone comes in with their dream meal. There's loads of dream meal podcasts.
Meal? You said Grant Me 3 Wishes.
Yeah, I know. There's loads of dream meal podcasts. Therefore, I'm going to be the difference.
Oh, I see.
3 Wishes.
Yeah. That is good. That's quite good. Because you always talk about that as well, don't you?
What?
Like, people always say, what would you do?
Oh, you always talk about that. I thought you were saying one. I thought you were saying me.
No.
I was like, when?
One.
But I do always say, what shall we do if we win the lottery? You always say,
yeah, you do.
We'll buy one very modest house in London, one very modest house in Wales, and then give some money to friends, and then also not tell anyone.
It might have already happened.
Fucking,
I wish.
You would know, probably. I'd look really good. My clothes would be really good and everyone would be like, something's not adding up.
I wouldn't just be in my Uniqlo polo neck again for the 20th time.
Every day.
Actually, autistic, I would.
Yes, you would. Yeah. Speaking of autistic.
Yes.
So you, segue into MAFS.
Yes.
So I was on TikTok.
Wow.
Very briefly. It was literally this morning, and someone was talking about like, why did I never know this? And then just like listing a bunch of things. One of them was that the ginger girl, when Adrian and Awhina were having their meal,
Yeah.
the ginger girl that was his best friend is like a content creator.
Right.
Not surprising. That was it. And then the other thing was her talking about Jacqui and saying, I'm not saying being autistic makes you a bad person or something, or makes you do weird things, but I'm saying she could be autistic and is doing weird things. And it's just funny because we just never looked at her as autistic, and I still don't really. I see it still see her as psychopathic.
It's not chiming for me. It seems like a personality. She didn't seem to have any anxiety over how she was relating to or connecting with anyone. Mm-hmm. I listened to...
Yes.
It was meant to be Clint's interview on...
What, and she went along?
Live on Air or something, spelled EYI. It's a MAFS podcast hosted by Lara from MAFS, who I had to look up because I couldn't remember her.
I remember her. She was with Richie, wasn't she?
She was from
She
UK
America?
MAFS, but she was American.
Yep, she was with Richie, that weird guy
Richie?
that kind of looked like he thought he was like a rock and roll guy with a mullet, and he was really short.
It
was very
God.
short-lived.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know how my brain did that. That's weird.
Whoa,
yeah,
that was
thanks.
amazing.
I think I knew I knew there was a podcast of
Right,
hers
I'd
going
seen
around.
that. I'd seen it, but I didn't realise it was her.
Yeah.
She was interviewing Clint. Then, of course, you kind of heard Jacqui in the background being like, I'm here. And then she was like, can we... And Clint was trying desperately to make it all about Jacqui's jewellery line. He was like, obviously you have to ask about the show and everything, but could we talk about what we're up to now, what we're looking at in the future? Obviously Jackie's business is amazing. And are you finding that sweet?
No, I'm finding it so embarrassing.
I know.
Her business, making a bit of jewellery. I believe it for anyone else making jewellery. Big respect. Like, I think that's really cool and amazing. But Jacqui making jewellery, she doesn't have a fucking creative bone in her body, that girl.
I know. So then Lara was like, we've seen Jacqui in the background. Could she come and say hi? And then Jacqui was like, I'll come over. I was just walking to the stock room. I walked there like 4 times a day to go and look at the jewellery. And then
The stock room in his house.
Yeah. And then she kept
Obviously
being
not that
like,
big then, is it?
Clint is so lovely. Like, he doesn't even need his name on my business. He's just happy to just give it all to me. And like, obviously the subtext being pay for it all. And then she was trying to, I feel bad, but she was trying to say, everybody online is calling me crazy and I'm not. But in the course of this explanation, she was not helping herself. But one thing she said, she's like, everyone's saying, oh, she must be autistic or has some kind of learning difficulty. But I'm not. I'm just excitable or something. She was like, everyone must be thinking I'm having some kind of spastic outburst. Can you believe?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I
was like, did my ears just hear that? And Clint was kind of like, ha 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 ha. I was like,
but Australia
no.
is like pretty,
clearly,
but also,
my love, that's not helping.
if you're quite like high up in business, you'd think you'd know to not use that word. And also, it's so funny that, did you say that Edit made her look like that?
Yeah.
Because it's funny because like her TikToks aren't doing her any favours either.
Oh my God. And they kept talking about their TikTok. Clint was like, so you can find, we're both on TikTok. Mine is called Mary and Jake Take the World. It's actually my dog's TikTok, but
Mary?
that was made up. I can't remember what it's
Mary
actually
and
called.
Jake.
But he's got 2 dogs who he's obsessed with. Jacqui was like, we're both single parents about their dogs. Even though she doesn't have a dog, but anyway. And they're not single. Anyway. And he was like, yeah, because MAFS took over my personal TikTok when I was on the show, so that hasn't been really used much, and I've been just using the dog one, so I'm just sticking with the dog one for now. Like, mate, thought you're supposed to be an entrepreneur. That's not going to help you much. They were just, I kind of respected them just being like, we are going to rinse this for everything we possibly can.
I mean, yeah, good for them.
They were like, we're starting a business. We're gonna use our following.
If someone
Jacqui
buys
was like,
it,
because
fine.
Lara was like, how are you finding all of the social media stuff? It must be hard. She was like, oh, everyone's pretty nice. Like, she didn't seem to have been receiving or noticing.
Well, that's good.
Criticism, which I'm glad
happy
about.
for her. Yeah. Oh, do you remember I was telling you about the Katie stuff? About Katie's restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a massive thing. Okay, guys, sorry. All of our gossip is like, there's sort of something about this because it's hard to look into. But Katie has been under fire because you know why all of our gossip is like this?
Why?
It's because we went to university. So we're critical thinkers. That's the reason why. I'm not just taking everything that everyone says on TikTok, as truth. I have to do my own research, and I can't be bothered. So Katie's business
from MAFS Australia, who went out early.
Yeah, she was saying that she had a social enterprise restaurant business or something, and then
and I think she said that the profits gave back to like charity
homeless
or
charities or something. But then everyone online was saying that like she had loads of designer clothes. Don't know where those were. Anyway, sorry, love you, Katie, but don't know where those designer clothes were. And then she was driving like
the alligator necklace.
The alligator necklace was what I was thinking of as I said that aloud, with the V-neck sparkles. She was like using posh cars or something, I don't know, and everyone was saying that she didn't give all of her employees their superannuation, which is like their kind of retirement fund, during COVID, because she wanted to keep them all on or something. And so her friend was like, she's a really good person, she didn't prepare for what would happen and blah blah blah. Anyway, so there's some drama there. What reminded me of this,
so basically it's gone bust. Her business has gone bust.
I think so, something like that, or there's some kind of
stealing
fraud.
money or something.
Yeah, something like that, or she owes people money and it's just never happened.
Wow.
But also it was funny because Jamie posted a video of her at the restaurant and was like, this stuff is the best, and I just thought that's quite funny that she's probably been invited to like do good PR for it, but also really clever of Katie but it's also so transparent, isn't it? But also clever to invite the MAFS people to.
If you got a business,
you
got to use what you got, haven't you?
Too right. You should work for Clint and Jacqui. Sorry, that was really boring and very little substance.
I loved it.
Thanks, darling.
I got to look at you speaking for a bit.
About like,
no.
When I watch my videos back, and I think, that is how I talk all the time. You have to watch.
You're animated. It's wonderful.
Thanks for loving me.
Love you.
Love you. Love you. Anyway, what's your next thing of gossip, please?
So I listened to, I can't remember if we jumped off I Kissed a Boy. Have we even spoken about it yet?
Yeah. But we haven't finished it.
No. Anyway,
we'll come back.
Listened to Awhina, a two-parter. I was mowing. I was mowing. I was mowing the lawn for a very long time, so I just,
Tell everyone how big our grass is. They'll think we won the lottery.
Is the grass big, or am I just very slow?
No comment.
So I listened to a two-parter Awhina interview on Abby Chatfield's It's a Lot.
Yeah.
Thank you to Anna at XYI for recommending.
Oh, thanks, Anna.
It's a Lot. Anna recommended it to me ages ago, but I was too MAFS saturated, and also it's on Australian time, so I was scared of spoilers.
Yeah.
Because Abby Chatfield is... Are we going to go into that? No.
Maybe another time.
There's some drama around her that's very intriguing.
Yeah, have any information on the Clementine Ford, Abby Chatfield drama, please send it to us. Because also I was like, Clementine Ford is the best. And I've had her on my old podcast. I've met her a couple of times, really liked her. And I praised her in the last episode, but I didn't realise this drama was going on. So forgive me if you caught wind of that and caught long-winded of that and thought, Daisy is on... Clementine Ford's side. I'm not on anyone's side.
Chill out, babe. You don't know.
I didn't know about it, but it's just funny that it was topical.
It is interesting, but also we still don't know the ins and outs. But there's some drama kicking off.
Yeah.
word on the street is that Clementine Ford is being a bit of a bully, but we don't know.
Yeah, that's Abby Chatfield's
Yes.
thing.
She was on The Bachelor, so I knew her already from my old Bachelor viewing days.
Yeah. From your old Bachelor Nation days.
She obviously caught my eye. I wonder why, because she had a reputation for being like the sexy, slaggy one.
Yeah.
That was like, I don't need to be here.
Yeah.
And getting in the sea all the time. I was like, interesting.
She seems nice.
So she's made a big career, got a big podcast, and she was interviewing Awhina. And okay, I think this might be your favourite bit from it. Awhina said that when the cameras would come in, sometimes she would hide Adrian's like notebook because he was spelling everything wrong.
No, that's mean.
Oh no, you don't like it.
I don't like it. That's broken my heart. Why would she hide it?
It was a bit mean. She was like, my first instinct is just to... Sorry, I shouldn't do this.
I like it.
My first instinct is to protect my partner, and I could see that he was spelling a few words wrong, so I didn't want anyone to see. But I was like, I don't know if that's worse, actually. Because
I think it might be worse.
You're ashamed.
Yes, that is true. You're ashamed of him spelling things wrong. I also am interested by his TikTok presence, because I'm getting a lot of his TikToks, and I am looking at the MAFS TikTok things like more than anything else. That is, if I'm looking at TikTok, that's what I'm aiming for. Okay, so can there be no more judgment coming across the sofa?
Yep.
Yes. His kind of, you know how I talked about him doing the jigsaw or something?
Colouring.
Colouring.
Yeah.
And I loved that. That was a bit of me.
She talked about the colouring too.
Did she say it was embarrassing?
No, she said he read poetry and did colouring all the time.
That's very nice.
You're a sucker. She said he was trying to look like an amazing guy.
Oh, okay. Maybe that is trying to look like but also, you know what? I am happy that if those are the things that you're trying to do to look like a good guy, I'm like, that's not that bad.
Yeah. Also, I do believe the colouring is probably a cathartic activity for him.
It doesn't look very masculine to be doing fucking colouring in. So I think I like that. I'm not saying I'm on Adrian's side. I'm just saying I like that.
But I think her argument kind of was that he was trying to look like more of a progressive, soft guy.
Well, what I was then going to, as if he could, but then what I was going to say was he's kind of got that whole... my 5 to 9 before my 9 to 5 sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Of he was like, before I was on MAFS, I hadn't drank for 3 years and I weighed this much, and now 6 months later I'm drinking more than I have in 3 years. I've put on more weight than ever and blah blah. So I'm like, you can't, if you are that kind of toxic man, you can't escape it, and you still want to look a certain way. So it's funny because those two types of content are kind of at odds with one another, like saying that like mental healthily you're progressive, and also saying you're progressive, and then on the other hand you're like you're still attached to all of these old ways of being. John Berger, sorry, that was really ADHD of me.
John Berger.
It's like he had an old documentary in the 90s called Ways of Being that we studied in media, and my brain just that's what it just...
Well, if we get Alice in Wonderland syndrome and John Berger feedback from any listeners, that's going to be a big win.
This isn't... You know how we were talking last night about how we learn different things?
Yeah.
The John Berger thing, the main quote from the John Berger documentary that I always used in my essays during school was, "Objectivity is a mirage." So I'd use in everything. Anyway. So... Adrian.
You were like in the middle of a big sentence there.
Sorry.
Well, should I just tell you some more of the stuff that I found out? Okay,
I had a point.
So maybe. if you look like you're this kind of toxic guy, but you're being...
basically I just think he's really lonely. Because it all goes back to doing that thing. And I saw that, I don't know, I keep saying I saw this, but I don't know where I read it. I just don't want to claim it as my own thought. But I've been seeing discourse going around of like, going to the gym and being on this self-development journey and doing all of this stuff is actually really lonely and isolating us more, and maybe not better than going to the pub of an evening and being with your community and being with your friends. Like, you can't just do one or the other. Like, you have to have both things intertwined. And just saying like, oh, we're only going to go to the gym and focus on myself and grind. Like that is really lonely making, and that is what kind of maybe contributes to the male loneliness epidemic, I'm saying in quotation marks. And
that's why people get obsessed with the gym stuff that is in a big group,
like run clubs and stuff. Or
I heard some lovely show on Radio Wales about this gym in Cardiff that used to be a nightclub that has like been they play like rave music and do these crazy workouts at like 7 a.m, and like everyone is obsessed with it and goes like 3 times a day.
So interesting, because nightlife is dead.
Yes.
In the UK.
So they were saying it's literally run by people who used to run it as a nightclub, and then that like how that has now replaced that.
Isn't and it's so funny how close it is to like the 90s of like the 90s was just like ecstasy, getting fucked like on the dance floor. I don't mean, you know what I mean. And
maybe,
but maybe also that. And now it is literally going to the gym, and it's like, I guess that it's good in some ways, but on the other hand it's still all like, you can be better and you should be, and you have every opportunity to be better and thinner and blah blah blah, all of this. Anyway, back to the gossip then.
So, well, that reminds me that Awhina said that Adrian did said something about her on some social media platform, saying like shaming her for going out when she's a mum, and Awhina was like, so I don't think we knew on the show that Awhina had very recently, like 8 weeks ago, broken up with the father of her child.
I knew she'd
been with for like 14 years.
Yeah, no, I definitely knew that, but I didn't know it was that recent.
Yeah, it was literally like 8 weeks.
That's crazy, and also really interesting. Her whole thing about not having time to date.
Yes,
because I thought that she was jaded.
Me too, and she was saying like, I was kind of jumping into something after having been out of that relationship, and we hadn't worked out, like at the time my ex was 3 weeks on, 1 week off, so I had the kid for 3 weeks and I didn't have any spare time. But now that's changed, and we've got an amazing, like, we get on really well, and we've got an amazing childcare co-parenting schedule where we have a weekend each. So I have like every other weekend where I can do whatever I want. I'm dating, I can go out with my friends. If I'm going getting drunk, I'm not with my kid's being looked after. So this is what she was saying, that he was shaming her for
going out and getting drunk.
Yeah, and she sounds like she's absolutely fine. She's having loads.
Oh, good.
Having
That's
a good
really
time.
Nice.
But it was interesting. She'd obviously tried really hard to protect him and didn't want to have this antagonistic relationship. And it was like only when she watched the show that she kind of realised how shit it had made her feel, or that she should have felt more shit or something.
Yeah.
But she said she was really uncomfortable being labelled a victim by people.
Yeah.
And that it kind of made her feel like she'd let people down because she hadn't like reacted in the way that they would have wanted at the time or something.
But that's almost victimhood in itself, like from the public, that you feel like you're meant to act a certain way and no one's meant to react a certain way to anything.
Yeah, it all sounds very complicated. But one interesting thing she said was that, you know, the whole thing where she said she cheated before and he judged her loads. She said that on the honeymoon they both told each other that they had cheated before, and he'd been like, oh yeah, no, everyone's done it, doesn't matter. And then when they had because she said, which a lot of people say, she'd never seen the show, don't know if I believe it, and he'd watched it before, so he knew what Confessions Week would be, and he knew that he had to look like he was judging her, otherwise he would look bad or something. So he pretended to have not cheated, and she said she didn't want to call him out on camera because she wanted to do it off camera, but he had cheated and she already knew that he had.
Oh, it's so complicated.
It's pretty weird, isn't it? It was all a bit like, because there was so much of talk of like what everyone would think and what's the best, how to get the best
edit.
Yeah, like if we stay together, even if we don't like each other, then that tends to mean that you're better perceived in the long run than if you go out early like Tim and Katie or something.
Yeah, because she was basically, after he said that thing about, you know, her being a mum, she was ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so cool.
Well, she actually said no. She was like, that's fine. We don't know each other well enough. I don't know. It was all very contradictory to what we had kind of perceived. And it seemed like she wasn't really ready to slag him off. And Abby Chatfield was kind of being like, oh, what a fucking loser dickhead. Like,
yeah, I remember you saying
it's
that.
So abusive. It's so frightening what he's done. And she was a bit like,
and And that is really interesting that she had literally said in that interview, I don't feel comfortable being labelled a victim.
Yeah.
And that is quite intense and maybe unfair of Abby, my good dear friend Abby Chatfield, to put that immediately back on her. Like, you should be it's difficult, isn't it? Because you want to be reflecting back what that person is feeling, but at the same time you don't want to end up in Domenica and Ella scenario where you're just like go reflecting back what Jack and Tori are saying. But then also there's a choice between having fucking Awhina on and Jack and Tori. Like, they're different situations. Sorry to Domenica and Ella for bringing that back up. I'm sure they want it to be over and done with, but there we are.
Do we have time for one highlight of I Kissed a Boy?
Yes.
I love Adam for me talking about being diagnosed with HIV. I think crying a little bit.
It was beautiful,
amazing,
and so brave.
It was so brave, and seeing the group's reaction and how much they love him and it bringing all of them to tears. It was just a wonderful piece of television. It was really wonderful. And I also like that he didn't have to like do it secretly, and he could just say, oh, I'm really nervous, but this feels like we're in an open moment. And he felt comfortable enough to say it because they were talking about Lars's experience as a trans man. Yeah, linking both of those things to kind of the context of the 80s, which is what they were talking about when they were having the like bandanas on and stuff. Yeah. And very clever of Jack D to bring that in. Yeah. Just kind of linking the different but connected struggles that they were going through was just a very wonderful moment. Moving. Yeah, very moving. And I really loved it, and it was just so brave and also really tragic that he was like, I'm gonna die, like he didn't realise. But when he found out that he had HIV, and it's like so cool and amazing that when you're diagnosed with HIV in 2025 in the UK, you can get medication that means you can live a normal life and not pass it on to anyone. That's amazing. So amazing. How amazing that we've come that far. Yeah. It's really, really cool. So I'm so happy for him. Yeah. He put a really cool video on TikTok of him shaking his HIV medication, and he was like, me taking my HIV medication, dancing to Beyonce or something. And I was like, oh my God, I love him that he's being open about this. I love him. He's great. Yeah. Lovely. Well, you've got to go to work, so we're going to have to stop there. Sorry about that. We've run out of time. But there's going to be a bonus episode this week on the Patreon. That'll be coming soon. Yep. If you want to sign up, you can go to Patreon, doing the MAFS. You might want to go on your desktop rather than your phone, because I think Apple takes a cut or maybe charges you more or something. So do it on your desktop if you're wanting to. And also the link is in our show notes. And also you can go subscribe to our YouTube or follow this podcast on Apple or Spotify, and leave us a review if you haven't done so. If you're enjoying the podcast, leave us a review. If you're not enjoying the podcast, don't leave us a review, because you'll bring our numbers down, and that's rude. We really appreciate it. We do. Thank you. Love you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Love you. Love you. Bye. Bye.